40 years ago, the Tampa mob was in its heyday, but when a hitman killed a Tampa police officer, some brave public officials decided it was just too much.
Now, for the first time, they're sharing stories they've never told from the crackdown that would change Tampa's image. ABC
Action News I-Team investigator Adam Walser has the very latest.
People getting blown up by bombs, getting their legs blown off.
And one of the things that was going on that was wrong was a gambling situation called Bolita in Tampa.
Over decades, Bolita, a numbers racket imported from Cuba, fueled a mob empire in Tampa.
People had been shooting each other, trying to get on top of the game.
Federal investigators learned profits from the crime ring were used to pay off cops, prosecutors, and judges.
Certain things were happening in the courts, and you were hearing people talk, man, I had this guy, you know, I did this and did that, and he got off.
Underworld figures also tried to gain favor with politicians. Jan Platt was invited to meet potential donors at a produce stand when she was running for a seat on the Tampa City Council.
I was taken into a back room, and in that back room were these two men who were looking at tomatoes.
One of the men was Santo Traficante Jr., reputedly the most powerful mob boss in Florida and Cuba. Platt left immediately.
So I became suspect from that day on of everything.
Newly elected Mayor Dick Greco, whose parents ran an Ybor City store, faced the same pressure.
And I knew some of the things that were going on had to end.
As part of Mayor Greco's crackdown on Bolita, he put Tampa Narcotics Sergeant Richard Cloud in charge of a new vice squad. Cloud began providing information to the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, including young prosecutor Chris Hoyer.
And we had a special grand jury meeting, and he was going to start testifying.
Cloud even brought a case against a crooked police supervisor.
And he knew that he had some bad cops. He knew he had corruption in his department.
That's when Cloud got fired over bogus police brutality charges. And on the morning of October 23, 1975, a hitman shot and killed the former officer inside his Seminole Heights home.
And you knew when it happened that it was one of those times when everything was going to be different.
Hoyer says he and the FBI avoided using local officers in their search for Cloud's killer.
We chose to trust only ourselves.
FBI and FDLE agents followed up on hundreds of leads and questioned dozens of potential witnesses, but came up short until State Trooper Al Gear caught a break nearly 4 months after the murder. Gear was taking a suspect to jail when the man began dropping hints.
I mean, he starts talking, he starts saying, you know, about these policemen getting killed. So finally he goes, the city guy in Tampa, Cloud. So we pulled over.
Gear's passenger later identified the trigger man who put the feds on a trail to the people running the Tampa underworld. Despite the suspicious deaths of a couple of key participants in the murder conspiracy,
and they claimed it was a suicide.
The prosecutors were largely successful in court.
These are very intense people who are very paranoid and heavily armed on both sides.
Many believe Cloud's murder was the turning point that finally led to a cleaner government in Hillsborough County. But Platt's not convinced everything was cleaned up.
Well, we don't know that that's not going on right now.
I believed then and I believe now that there is organized crime in Hillsborough County right now.
Cloud's name was not officially added to the Tampa Fallen Officers Memorial until 1993, 18 years after his death. Some of his supporters say that that was payback because he helped to put a fellow officer behind bars. I'm I-Team investigator Adam Walser taking action for you.